Black people, you should not be using oil in your hair. Oils are bad. Stop using them. Middle to the front, my locks are gonna fall off. Cheers! What's good, winners? Welcome or welcome back to this channel. I am Winnie. How are you? If you're an oldie and you've come back to watch this face of mine, love you long time. If this is the first time you're watching a video of mine, welcome to this channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you're notified every single time that I upload. We are currently on the way to 12,000 subscribers as I'm filming this, and my birthday is around the corner, so I'm really hoping that we can even go over the 12k by the time my birthday arrives, because that would be an amazing birthday present. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watched, liked, shared, commented, supported me, especially in my current journey where I'm like trying to thicken up these roots towards the front, do you know what I mean? And you know what, it's looking, see how it's looking like. It's looking healthy. It's looking so much more healthy than it was like this time last year. I could tell you that for free. Kind of just got my hair like loosely tied to the side, going out to an event later on, and I just didn't want my locks to be all over my face. Anyway, can't lie, some comments that I have been receiving here and there lately inspired this video, and it had me thinking to myself, what would I say to somebody that is about to embark on their loc journey, or maybe they're already in their loc journey but they're anxious about certain things? Like, what would I tell them to kind of keep in mind when it comes to locks? And so I thought I'm gonna do, hopefully, I was gonna say a sweet and short video, but y'all know sometimes I can talk, yeah, but hopefully I'm gonna do an informative video where I'm basically gonna talk about the 5 things to consider about when it comes to locks. Obviously there's more points, so if I miss out anything or you feel like there's anything you want to add, feel free to drop it in the comment section below, and as usual we would get to gisting. So anyway, I got my notes on my phone. The first point is, what works well for you may not work for others, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? What might not work for you may work well for somebody else. So I've noticed in this loc community, generally speaking, and I have been guilty of this in the past as well, I think in my past content that I've made, I've almost kind of been talking about things that have worked well for me or not worked well for me as if it's a fact, as if that, you know, because it's worked well for me, anybody with locks, it's also gonna work well for you. But that is never the case. Like anything in life, what's going to work well for you may not work for another person, and what works for another person may not work well for you. And I find that in this loc community, a lot of people like to talk about things that work well for them as if it's a fact, which I'm not gonna lie, generally speaking, sometimes I feel like it can be from a place of love. Other times I don't think it's from a place of love, and it's almost a little bit insulting depending on, you know, what the person is trying to say. So for example, no oils in your hair. I've noticed over the last maybe 2 years, this has been a massive thing where I felt like somebody woke up one morning and was just like, yes, black people, you should not be using oil in your hair. Oils are bad. Stop using them. Everybody kind of ran with it. Obviously, some people gave the no oil sting a try and it worked well for them. I actually did give the no oil sting a try earlier on this year for a couple months, and there was pros and cons. It made me realize that actually my scalp does produce a lot of its own oils, but at the same time, my hair didn't like it, and I noticed that I started to experience a lot more thinning out by not using any oils in my hair. There are some people that swear that using hair grease works well for them, like using things like Blue Magic and the old school kind of sulfur 8 kind of greases and stuff. It works absolutely fine for them. Other people say that it doesn't work. A lot of people in the loc community say you shouldn't use any wax in your hair, but I recently came across a video of a woman with gorgeous, healthy looking locks who swears by using wax. And so this goes back to my point that for the most part, it's all about finding what works well for you and then sticking to it. Second point is, different hair types requires different maintenance or no maintenance at all. So I say all of this because I recently received like a couple of comments of people being like, oh, you shouldn't retwist your hair, retwisting is bad, you should go freeform, you should just go semi-freeform, that's the only way that your hair will thicken up all over, and yada yada. And I know that for the most part these comments are coming from a place of love, and I don't feel like there is any malicious intent behind it. However, factually, that is incorrect. Yeah, you can go a long time without retwisting. Even on this channel, there was a point in time when I went a whole year, I think I even went over a year without retwisting. And I believe in that video, I shared my findings, which was that overall, yes, I noticed that my roots were really thick, it was nice, it was healthy. I also noticed that some of my locks also started to thin out because of that. And why is that? It's because of my hair type, yeah? Most of the time, and I say this very respectfully, most of the time people that will advise me to just let my hair do its thing don't even have the same hair type as me, you know. And I've spoken about this many times, where I think people kind of assume that if you're a part of the Loc community, then y'all all have the same hair types. No, we all don't have the same hair type. Somebody whose hair is more coarser than mine, somebody whose hair is more thicker all over, will be able to go a long time without retwisting, and that may be absolutely beneficial for their hair, and that will make their hair look absolutely fantastic, and it'll be the best thing for them. If I was to do that, what would happen is a lot of my hair would thin out because we do not have the same hair type. I find that there's this certain belief that one size fits all, which kind of goes back to my first point, and no, it does not. Because for example, if somebody has very fine hair, especially if you watch Yanni the Locologist's video, I'm a big fan of her, I've previously mentioned that before. If you've watched her videos, you would even know from watching her videos that there are so many different hair types in our community. You can't advise somebody who has, for example, very fine hair to just not do anything with it, because you could potentially be giving them bad advice. You also cannot advise somebody like myself, who has said multiple times that from the middle to the back of my head is one texture, and then from the middle to the front is another texture, what to do, because the advice that you're giving may potentially help the middle to the back, but what it's going to do is middle to the front, my locks are going to fall off. My third point is, most of the time when it comes to locks, less is more. So when I was writing this down, I was more so thinking about in terms of like products that you put in your hair. I don't believe that you need to be putting 101 products in your hair, and that's like, it doesn't matter what your hair type is when it comes to this one thing. I generally think, just off the top of my head, it's a bit weird to be using like, I don't know, 7 products to like put on your scalp on a daily basis, and it's too much. I have found over the years that less is definitely more. Like, yeah, have your spray that's gonna moisturize your locks and be spritzing it all the time, and then have your hair oil, or if you're a hair grease person, that's also fine, use a little bit on your scalp from time to time. Or if you're somebody that doesn't want to use anything on your scalp altogether and that works well for you, that's also fine. Maybe you don't put anything on your scalp and you're just a spritzer, that's also cool. But whatever it is that you're doing, you don't need to do the most, basically. My fourth point is that your diet, your health, any life issues, for example, can potentially affect your locks, including your environment as well. Yeah, so I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but for example, if you've been binging out on like a lot of processed foods and you're not really having like fresh fruit and vegetables, you're not staying hydrated, you're not consuming your vitamins and all of that, there's a high key chance that that's gonna be a reflection when it comes to your hair. Same way as the environment that you're in. If you're in a toxic environment, if you're in a place where you're always feeling stressed out, that can also have an impact on your locks. I shared on my channel last year, when I was moving houses, it was a very stressful time, and in fact it was during that period that I started to notice that actually the locks towards the front of my hair were really thinning out, and that's because it was a stressful time. I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't sleeping properly, I was constantly like going back and forth between my family house and here, I had to do a lot of things more or less by myself. It was a very stressful time, and obviously all of that stress took its toll on my hair. And I think even up until now, you know, obviously there's a lot of improvements and stuff, and I've had to like really up my vitamins, watch my diet and all of that in order to get here. But these things can affect your hair, and also age as well. Like, I know that people are scared of like aging and stuff, but aging is a part of life, and I think aging is a beautiful thing. But as you do get older, sometimes there are certain changes, and sometimes that can also affect your hair. So it's all about learning and finding ways to basically rectify certain changes that you may see. My fifth and my last point is learning to enjoy your individual loc journey is key. So everybody's gonna have different loc journeys. I shared towards the start of this video that it took about 9-10 months for my locks to fully mat together. Somebody whose hair is more thicker, more fuller, might just take you 3 months. I know somebody who even swears that their locks just mat together within 2 months. But the point I'm trying to make is, regardless of how long it takes for your locks to mat together in the beginning stages, learn to love every single part of your loc journey. There is no such thing as an ugly stage, by the way. You know, towards the front, that the early days of your starter loc journey, where, you know, your locks are like budding together, so it's more frizzy or whatever it may be, and people now brand it as an ugly stage. No such thing, to be honest. Learn to appreciate the beauty of every single part of your loc journey, even like the parts where it stresses you out. Like, I've documented parts where I've shown y'all some of my locks and it's looking really thin, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is making me feel like just cutting my locks and maybe just starting a journey all over again. But when I look back on that, yeah, I didn't necessarily love that, but I needed to experience that for me to appreciate and learn what to do going forward, and to realize that, like, point number 3 or 4, can't remember, less is basically more. I don't need to be doing too much. Like, the less I do with it, the more my locks will thrive. Learn to love your loc journey. Also, I want to say, please also do not compare your locks to other people as well, because I remember, but maybe before I started, or maybe just as I started my loc journey, there was a lot of people whose locks, actually, funny enough, the people whose locks I really admired, I actually still really admire right now. And I kind of used to indirectly think to myself, oh yeah, like, I can't wait for my locks to be like theirs and all of this. And obviously, as my locks grew longer and longer, obviously I've cut it shorter now, but even as my locks grow, my locks doesn't resemble theirs, but my locks are still beautiful, the same way that your locks are still beautiful. So don't compare your locks to other people. Like, your locks are going to be beautiful. They're going to look how they're going to look, how they need to look, and according to your hair type. Learn to love your locks, learn to love the journey. Read blogs, watch vloggers like myself. But like I say, everything that you watch, take what works well for you, and the things that don't, the things that you think are rubbish or nonsense and not going to be of benefit or use to you, don't take that. I never want to be that person that comes on here that's like, this is the one rule that fits all. If you're not doing this with your locks, then you are failing. I can't stand stuff like that, because I just think to myself, who died and made you, I don't know, the loc gods? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you have a PhD in locks? Like, so yeah, man. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts, like, if there's anything or any tip that you would give to somebody in regards to like their loc journey, any advice that maybe I haven't spoken about today. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna be traveling soon, so I'm quite looking forward to getting back into the travel content bag, I cannot lie. But regardless of the content that I'll be putting out, I do want to just make it very clear, I'm still going to be doing like plant-made updates as well. Some people have suggested I do it every like 2 months or every month or so. What I do is, I'll probably do it roughly every month or so, just to let y'all know how I'm getting on with the plant-made products. And if there's anything new in my Loc journey, I'm gonna keep on sharing it with y'all. But until my next video, take care, be good.